But let's get into my top 5 destinations for Kirk Cousins. Let's start off with the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Buffalo Bills, for some reason, hate Tyrod Taylor, and for a game, loved Nathan Peterman, and we know that Nathan Peterman is a lifelong backup quarterback at best. So, for Buffalo, they have a few decisions to make in terms of free agency. Kyle Williams is going to be a free agent. They would be crazy to let him walk. Jordan Matthews will be a free agent as well. Sharice Wright, Brandon Tate, the list goes on. But for Buffalo here, they have an opportunity to grab a Kirk Cousins and actually be even more competitive in the AFC East than they were last season. And the overall offensive pieces here for Buffalo, they're not going to scare any opposing defense here. But you do have Kelvin Benjamin there on the outside, a good offensive line, especially in run blocking. You have LaShawn McCoy, and Kirk Cousins is not a quarterback that can throw the football 45 times and be an effective quarterback. He's not a Tom Brady, he's not an Aaron Rodgers, or even a Ben Roethlisberger. But a good run game, i.e. LaShawn McCoy and Mike Tolbert, if he re-signs with the Buffalo Bills, could pave the way for a successful season. So we put the Buffalo Bills here because, I don't know if Tyrod Taylor is going to be on this roster come 2018. And a lot of Buffalo Bills fans out there kind of want that new era at the quarterback position. And I could see a Kirk Cousins potentially being the quarterback there for the Bills. Not as likely as some other teams as I go through the list here. And for Kirk Cousins, surely going to test the free agent market and see what he can do. And I think the Buffalo Bills would be crazy to not at least give it a look. So there they are at number 5. We'll stay in the AFC East here for number 4. The New York Jets. Now, they have no answer at quarterback on the current roster. And something to note here, the whole Jeremy Bates offensive coordinator connection. It's kind of a stretch here if you really want to block it all out. But hear me out here. Jeremy Bates, he learned under Mike Shanahan in Denver when Bates worked out there from 2006 to 2008. And then Shanahan, of course, became the Washington Redskins head coach at one point. And Kirk Cousins has recently talked very positively of Jeremy Bates, and perhaps there is something there. And honestly, I believe that third point here. I believe the Jets would turn into an 8-win team at worst if Kirk Cousins were to go to the Big Apple and play for the Jets. And the Jets, of course, have to, do their fair share of diligence in the free agent market and all that. They have some decisions to make, and they have a young defense that I think is promising. Look, I don't think Josh McCown is the answer. He played effectively in 2017, but at the end of the day, you're not going to give this guy a long-term deal. So, like I said, some big pricey targets here that the Jets are going to have to address here in free agency. Austin Seferian-Jenkins, Demario Davis, Mo Claiborne as well at the corner position. So the Jets, not in an awful salary cap situation either. In fact, many of these teams are in a relatively solid salary cap situation. If you want to go in terms of rankings here, the Jets have the 4th most cap space projected for 2018. Talked about the Buffalo Bills, and they're not in an awful situation. Middle of the pack, $29 million in terms of projected cap space. But this team has a lot of cap space. The Cleveland Browns, like I mentioned, they made a run at Alex Smith, according to reports, and obviously did not pan out. So the Cleveland Browns, they have the 2nd most salary cap space, according to overthecap.com, second to only the San Francisco 49ers, who, of course, have their quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. So the Browns, they want their franchise quarterback. How many times have we said that? Cousins would get paid big time if the Browns were to really make a run at Kirk Cousins. And the Browns also have a ton of draft capital as well. They have several picks in the 1st and 2nd rounds, respectively. As you see right there, 2 first-rounders and 3 second-round picks. So the Cleveland Browns, I mean, look, if you want to make money, sure, that would be a good destination for Kirk Cousins. If you want to win, though, it's going to take some time. I am confident that the Cleveland Browns will turn into a winning team in the next few years. And I know Kirk Cousins wants the, shall we say, security as a quarterback, right? He wants that long-term deal. That's why perhaps he got traded from Washington, because the Redskins didn't want to give him that long-term security. So if Kirk Cousins is willing to be patient here, the Cleveland Browns have a solid defense that I think is going to wreak havoc as we go further into future seasons here in the NFL. And with Josh Gordon there at the wide receiver position, of course, the Browns do have to make a decision here with Gordon because he, of course, is a free agent. But for the Browns here and Kirk Cousins, this would be a waiting game kind of situation because Browns fans, of course, would be very excited if the Browns were to get Kirk Cousins. But it's a wait-and-see kind of deal because I think, if Kirk does go to this team, it'd probably be a 5-win, 6-win, 7-win team at the ceiling at most. But in the following years, it could be even better. Like I mentioned, the defense for the Cleveland Browns. We got McCourty there at the corner position, had a very solid season. Shelton and, of course, Myles Garrett on that front line. And Schobert played solidly at linebacker, at the middle linebacker position. According to Pro Football Focus, big-time improvement from 2016. 48.8 grade in 2016, 77.4 grade in 2017. So a big-time improvement there on the defense. So for Cleveland, it's a lot of cap space. Kirk Cousins would get paid. Is it the best destination? No, that's why I have them at 3. Number 2, the Arizona Cardinals. So they have a big-time decision to make at quarterback. Blaine Gabbert, a free agent. Matt Barkley, a free agent. And Carson Palmer, retired. I think the Arizona Cardinals would be wise to go out and grab a Kirk Cousins. The Cardinals don't have the best salary cap situation among the teams that I'm talking about here. In fact, they're quite far down. They have $8 million, roughly, in projected cap space for 2018. But Steve Wilkes, the head coach there for Arizona, has said he is going to be very, shall we say, aggressive as he looks at free agency and a future quarterback there in the Big Toaster. Now, a few weeks ago, I actually projected Case Keenum to be the next quarterback there for the Arizona Cardinals. It could get even better if the Cardinals were to grab Kirk Cousins. Now, like I said, the Cardinals are going to have to do some restructuring here, perhaps a couple of salary cap cuts to free up some room for Kirk Cousins. But at the end of the day, the Cardinals would be very wise to bring in this quarterback here. They went 8-8 this season with turnover after turnover at quarterback and also injuries to that defense and the offensive line. The offensive line was in a rough shape in 2017. And oh, by the way, David Johnson's coming back. So, yeah, think about that. Kirk Cousins and David Johnson as a quarterback to RB duo there. I think it makes a lot of sense. But like I said, the Cardinals have some financial decisions to make here in terms of freeing up cap space. So there are the Arizona Cardinals at number 2. Number 1, my top destination for Kirk Cousins, the Denver Broncos. Do not underestimate John Elway and the big-time splashes that he makes in free agency, especially at the quarterback position. You all may recall Peyton Manning. They went on to win a Super Bowl with him in Super Bowl 50. So I think this is the best option for winning if you're Kirk Cousins. For winning, right? May not be the best option in terms of making money, but the Broncos have a championship-caliber defense. They have decisions to make in their secondary with Roby and Aqib Talib, etc. They're not going to be able to afford their top 3 corners, I don't think. Chris Harris, that third guy there. So may have to make a decision in terms of one of those corners to let them walk. But if the Broncos were to get Kirk Cousins here, I think it would be huge. And especially if they attack the offensive line via the draft. So they get a better offensive line going into 2018. They have their quarterback in Kirk Cousins. They run the football effectively with C.J. Anderson. It keeps that defense refreshed and at a championship level because it wasn't last year because it was constantly on the field. This, in my eyes, is the best destination for Kirk Cousins, at least in terms of getting a ring. So what team should sign Kirk Cousins? Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to throw in your thoughts. So I have the Buffalo Bills, the New York Jets, the Cleveland Browns, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Denver Broncos as my top 5 destinations, counting down from 5 to 1 for Kirk Cousins to play quarterback.